I applied easily for over 100 jobs and just could not get an interview anywhere. Just kept getting turned around saying, nope, sorry, you don't have the job title that we're looking for. You don't have the right education that we're looking for.
As part of our ongoing thought leadership series, we're unpacking the real-world journey toward becoming skills-based organizations, or SBOs. We're especially honored to be joined today by Michaela Doelman, a nationally recognized equity-focused CHRO and transformative public sector leader. Supporting this conversation with me today are Stephen Lenzen and Betsy Grimes, two of Jaspercolin's leading minds in research, insights, and HR transformation strategy.
To begin, how has your definition of talent strategy evolved over the last 3 to 5 years?
I think the way that it's evolved has really been around how we identify and what talent looks like in the organization. We've talked about identifying high potentials, but it's really about what does high potential mean and how that definition has changed over time. Within the state of Washington specifically, we serve everyone. We talk about, we're not like Apple, where if you can't afford us or you don't like our operating system, you can go to Android. Our mission is that you're only successful if we're able to close that gap so that everyone has kind of equal opportunities and equal outcomes. We recognize through our data that that's not been happening over the years. We wouldn't have the homelessness population that we have. We wouldn't have the disparity in education if we were doing our job well and meeting our mission. And so it's about what does high potential look like in order to better fill that gap and meet that mission.
When or what did the skills conversation become really real in the organization? What prompted you to seriously make a move towards a skill-based approach?
I applied easily for over 100 jobs and just could not get an interview anywhere. Just kept getting turned around saying, nope, sorry, you don't have the job title that we're looking for. You don't have the right education that we're looking for. I got really lucky in that I ran into a family friend who was working for the state, and I had shared my experience, and he's like, oh, I know someone, here's a phone number, go call him. So I ended up talking to that person who was a recruitment manager. I got a non-permanent opportunity, able to get my foot in the door and start working as a recruiter for him. And I remember explaining my frustration to him, and his response was, so then fix it. Like, what would you do differently? And so that's when we started building culturally relevant training, just trying to help people understand, hey, if someone doesn't look you in the eyes, it doesn't mean that they're lying to you. It might mean that they come from a culture where eye contact is considered no eye contact is considered a sign of respect. So helping people understand kind of that, but as well as looking to say what we called it back then was transferable skills. How do you pose interview questions? One of the interview questions that we would pose a lot was asking people to describe their major life accomplishment, and then saying, if someone can do that, then those are transferable skill sets that can lead them, that shows tenacity, that shows project management, like trying to help people do that skills crosswalk. So that's been something that I've been passionate about since I started in state government. Governor of Pennsylvania, his first executive order that he issued when he was elected and came into office was to remove the qualification for degrees as a required qualification for all the jobs. But just removing degrees isn't going to actually change anything, because what typically, and I think where a lot of the pitfall happens, is people say, okay, you can't require a degree anymore. You have to have some sort of alternative qualification. And so then what you'll see on job announcements is people will say either a degree or 4 years of experience. I think the issue with that is, how do you get the 4 years of experience if a degree has historically been the way to get that experience? So it becomes kind of that catch-22. So that's when we built the policy, but also moved towards saying, no, you're not going to just say an alternative qualification. We're going to move fully towards skills-based hiring, to where we're going to replace degrees and years of experience with skills qualifications on every job, and how we assess for interview questions, how we assess for compensation. And eventually where we want to go is like leading that to implementing in our performance management system all the way through.
I just want to say thank you all for joining us in this important and thought-provoking conversation on the journey toward becoming a skills-based organization, a very poignant and important topic for the workforce. A special thank you to Michaela Doelman for sharing her deep insights, practical wisdom, and vision for a more equitable and agile workforce. Thank you, everyone.